My man, you got your deck.
Dude. Check it out.
Now, first things first. I'm a little upset you have a nicer deck box than me, but I'm going to let that go. My question to you is, now that you got your deck, before you've had time to even play and enjoy this thing, are you ready to learn how to upgrade it?
Well, I mean, I'm going to need to, right?
That's part of the game, right? That's what everyone wants to know, how to upgrade the deck. So here's the deal. Today, I'm going to teach you, Joe, how you're going to upgrade this thing.
All right.
And we're going to talk about upgrading in the sense of you're new, so I got to explain this to you.
Mm-hmm.
There was this whole thing that happened with Magic the Gathering. There used to be an outside rules committee that was not owned by Wizards of the Coast that determined like what the rule set for Commander was, what cards you were allowed. You'll hear me talk about illegal cards or banned cards, right?
Right.
They determined what the ban list was. And one of the problems in Commander, used to be what cards are banned, what cards are not banned. And really what they were trying to get to is, how can you and I match our decks in power levels so we can have an enjoyable game?
Yeah.
And people, the old joke used to be, Joe, that, oh, my deck is a 7. And like every deck was a 7, no matter how bad it was or how good it was. So this whole thing happened in the community. There's all kinds of drama. I won't bore you with that. But now Wizards is in control of the Commander format. Now, there were some controversy here. A lot of people thought that Commander should always be an outside entity. My opinion is I got down on my knees. I balled my little fists up, put them under my chin, and I thanked whatever maker I believe in that Wizards had taken control of this thing, because I have full faith that they're going to do it right. And I'm really excited at some of the changes that have come out from this. And one of the things they developed, Joe, they developed a bracket system.
Okay.
So your deck now is going to either be a bracket 1, 2, 3, 4, or a 5. So today, I want to teach you about that and how we're going to like decide, A, do we even need to upgrade? But B, if we do we want to upgrade it? How are we going to do it? How's that sound?
Let's do it.
All right. So first of all, Joe, I want you to tell me a little bit, because this is our 3rd episode now. We're calling this thing Commander for Dummies, I guess. I mean, it's the Muscles and Magic podcast, but what we've been talking about is Commander for the Dummies, you being the dummy.
Me being the dummy.
You being the guy that doesn't really know. And the whole purpose of this series, Joe, was to just like make Commander palatable, because like you look online and people love their little gatekeeping language strategy.
Let's just do like a brief recap of like kind of how we went about this. I think this is important.
Yep.
Because I'm stoked about this, and I think this is the way to get in. And what we started off with was just doing it online on Moxfield.
Yep.
And you know, there's so many things that stand in the way of being able to just jump in. Now, Wizards has done a great job. I think the pre-con decks are a really good place to be like, okay, here's the mechanics of the game. Here's how to play it. They've got the MTG Arena, so you can download the game, you can play it. They've got apps, they've got guides. There's plenty of information out there. So if you want to figure out the mechanics, you can do that. But being able to get in and learn about the ins and outs of building a deck does 2 things. I think it showed me some of the mechanics of the game from the Commander standpoint, but also just the number of options that you have, the different kinds of cards, why you might choose one card over the other. So going through and building a deck with you was really, really eye-opening for me, in the sense that it's nice to know like what the different types of strategies are. It's nice to pick one and just sort of focus on how that's going to work. And Commander is a great format for that, because you're building around your commander and what their strengths are. So it does eliminate a lot of stuff that's not going to make sense. And then really the most important part, and where I think I've gotten the most from doing this with you, is I don't know what all the cards are. And of the, I don't know how many cards have been printed, probably 1 billion, trying to pick which ones fit in a deck without breaking the bank. Because you can always just do the thing where I'm just going to keep throwing money at the problem. And if I invest $30,000 in a deck, it's going to be a really, really good deck. But I don't want to do that. I want to do this in, like you said, in a palatable way.
I will also say this, Joe. In addition to that, I think there's an element, and you really like rekindled this with me. I think there's an element for you that you like the lore. You like the fun. You like the collection. You like the backstories. Like, you're the kind of dude that reads the flavor text. Here's some flavor text of my Gaia's Cradle. Here's Sprouted, the first seedling of Argoth. here the last tree will fall. And that's from Gamelon, Citadel Elder. I feel like you're the guy that's going to go and YouTube who this guy is. You're going to like Google, like, oh, what's Argoth? Like, what are the...
And I'll tell you, just playing the Bloomsboro starter decks with my daughter. We got an otter deck and we got a bunny deck, a rabbit deck. And she's whooping my ass right now. I mean, she's beating me hands down with her rabbit deck. But like in my mind, there's this epic battle going on. Right? Like these animals in the forest, there's a backstory, and that flavor text starts to help fill in the gaps of those stories. And as I'm getting overrun by bunnies, like it's entertaining, it's funny. From like the fantasy part of my brain that's into Dungeons and Dragons is writing a story as we're playing the game. So it's not just about winning. I'd rather lose, but have a great story on the table.
So I want to show you something on that note that Wizards used to do. They don't do anymore. You used to buy these bundles. And they would come with these books. And I have a bunch of them, and they're punched, so you could put them in a little binder. I have more of these than you can imagine, because I was a collector. I like the stories.
Yeah.
But like, they give you all little bios of the character. And there's like storyboarding. So like this set is based on like some story that's actually happening. Like you could easily convert this to a TV series. Like I said, when I said I have a bunch of these, Joe, we got like more of these, you know what I mean? And this is like a fraction of what I have. But here's one called Eldritch Moon. And they talk about like what's happening between these characters and the cards and everything. And that's kind of fun. So that's like a bit of the backstory. But anyway, for people that aren't familiar with what we've been doing, we will put in the show notes the first couple of episodes. And basically to summarize, Joe, episode 1 was just teaching you how to do this from scratch. Episode 2, we refined and built a full deck for you. And we wanted to do it in a simple way, because one of the things that I've realized, like trying to learn about the game and everything, is people love their big words. We said this before, gatekeeping. Oh, this is mass disruption. This is a cantrip. This is gold fishing. This is like, I have no clue what you're talking about. Like, that's not a good way to learn how to play. There is this language that if you want to go learn, it's really, really hard, or it can be hard. So that's why we're doing this Commander for Dummies thing. But anyway, here we are. Yeah. You got your full deck. You got it in the mail. My first question was, how do you feel about it?
Good, man. It was exciting to get that package in the mail. I was like a kid at Christmas time.
Okay. So you opened it up. It looks like you got a cool box. I'm assuming.
Yeah. I had to run out to the local shop and get a nice Game Genix box. All right. This thing is pretty slick. So I got all my cards in sleeves. I could, like, as soon as I open them up, I'm like, these things need to be in sleeves, like right now. Like, I don't want oxygen getting on these things.
And you probably want to sleeve them because you have some more valuable ones. And I also know that you cheated on us.
A little bit. I might have picked a couple of other cards.
For the camera, we had a budget sent. You kind of went over budget. You ordered yourself. I just looked on your Mox field to see if you can. And by the way, you want to see?
I haven't added them in because I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit shy about that. Okay. But
you want to see Joe's decks? You can go to his Mox field. There's gonna be a link in the show notes. You can see my Mox field too. I'll put a link there. Everything will be linked to the show notes. Just remember that.
I can add them in while we're at it here.
Okay. And I'll teach you what to take out. Okay, so that'll be part of the show. So don't add them yet.
Okay.
We'll do a substitution. This is good for the upgrade, but I have it on good authority that you bought yourself a Crater Hook Behemoth.
Yeah,
you bought yourself
true.
A Worldly Tutor.
That is true.
The lies, the cheating, the shadiness. All right.
Think about how fun it would be if I was like, hey, I'm coming out to visit you. I'm going to bring my deck. And then I slam that some bitch.
All of a sudden you're like, okay, dude, we have upgrades. All right. So let's talk about that. Episode 1, we started from scratch. Episode 2, we refined, build you a deck, you ordered it. And now we're talking about upgrading, Joe. Okay, so a couple things first, and then we'll get to the brackets, okay? So just as a general rule, Joe, the way you're going to want to upgrade this is by actually playing. We're talking from a competitive perspective now, right? From a collection standpoint, it almost doesn't matter. Like if you look at the cards I have laid out here, this guy's Cradle is an $800 to $900 card. Might even be $1,000 right now. I don't even know. It's expensive, right? This is going to help me be a lot more competitive, but this is also a collector's. Oh, I dropped that. That's bad.
Ooh, don't do that.
This is also a collector's item. Does that make sense? In fact, what I have to do now is I have to go through and I don't have my cards double sleeved, but that's my next thing. I need to double sleeve these cards. So if you're one of these sponsors out here, your Game Gen X, your Ultimate Guard, your Ultra Point International, like whoever, hook me up, get me all the things so Bobby Maximus can double sleeve his Guy's Cradle. I need help. But, okay, Joe, so that's, you could add this for collection. You could add it for playability. When we look at cost, Joe, budget in general is an idea of how good your card's your deck's gonna be. Because how much was your Crater of Behemoth? $30?
Like 25.
It's probably a better card than your average $2 card. That said, it's not the only indicator, because if a card's rare, if a card's a certain print, if a card, actually, I'll give you an example, Joe. I'm gonna go to, just to pull like a price here. I'm gonna go to tcgplayer.com, right? There's a card called the Shivan Dragon. It's essentially a common. You can get these cards for like 25 cents. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yep.
Now, the alpha version of it, which is the very first iteration of Magic, an alpha Shivan Dragon is $4,000 right now.
Wow.
So $4,000, but the card's only 25 cents. You see what I mean? Like it's a common. It's just that version of it is worth that much. So like you can't go only on price. You see what I mean?
True. Yeah.
This card, if my Gaia's Cradle is foil, it's worth $2,600 instead of $800, but it has the same function in the game. So you can't always go on price, but generally, the more you're willing to spend, the more competitive your deck can be. So that's like the first thing, right? But we're going to do this from like a competitive somewhat standpoint. So the best way to do this is I would play with my deck. So we decided, I'm looking at your Mox Field right now. You have 37 lands, Joe.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the cool things with Mox Field and one of the cool things with Archidect is you can do you could do test draws on the thing. So if you look down, you can go deal another hand, right?
Yep.
So scroll down there. Perfect. So do me a favor, deal another hand. Okay, how many lands do you have in that hand?
2 lands.
Not enough. I want you to have 3. Deal again.
3.
Deal again.
3.
Deal again.
Only 1.
We would want to redo that for sure. Deal again.
5.
Okay, so you're generally, I would say you're generally around that 3 number. Like, sure, could you get a
Here
bad
it says
hand?
average number of lands in opening hand, 2.76.
That's not bad. We might want to see that be a little bit more, but the play is going to tell you whether you have enough lands in that deck. So, Joe, as you play through, you play games, you're constantly finding that you don't have enough lands and you can't do enough stuff. That's a cue to me to add more lands.
Sure.
Where this gets really confusing for people, we talked a lot about this in episode 2, is you have a lot of guys in your deck, a lot of elves, that give you what we call mana ramp. So I think in an elf deck, you could run less lands.
Right.
But in some, you might have to run more. That's a really hard theory to wrap your head around when for every deck, there's a different land number. When there's like some complicated math formula on how many lands you should have. So I'm just using that example because it's pretty easy. But I think with 37 lands, you have enough. And you also have MDFCs in here. MDFCs, Joe, are those double-sided cards that can act as both. So you have a Fell the Profane, which can act as a removal spell. You also have it can act as a removal spell, but if you flip it over, it's a land. So it's a double-sided card, and it fits 2 categories. It's an instant and a removal and a land, right? You also have a Bogart Trawler, which is a creature, but it's also a land. And that's the other thing, Joe, is like some of these cards can fit these double categories.
Right.
Because when you listen to the smart people talk about this, you got to pay attention to mass disruption, targeted control, mana door. It like starts to get overwhelming, right? So I would say 37 lands and 39. If you're constantly having enough lands, you've addressed that situation. Now, could you buy some better lands? Sure. Could you adjust your forests to swamps? Sure. But like, I think given that, we've got a good start. And by the way, this style of thinking, this is going to happen too. What if you're playing a game and you constantly end up in the area where you don't have enough creatures?
Right.
Okay, maybe we need to add some creatures. What happens if every time you and I play online, I'm bringing out big, monstrous, bad creatures, you can't deal with them, and they're running you over? You're like, I need a way to get rid of this guy's creatures. Okay, what cards, like, you could literally go to Google and be like, what's a good way to get rid of somebody's creatures? And then you can learn about mass disruption or target destruction or whatever term people want to use. Am I making sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like you almost have to like play test it and sort of see where you're falling short. Like where are the frustration points, and then you know what to address.
It might happen where you always have a good board state. So the board state is like what you got on the board versus what I got on the board, but you can never finish me off.
Right.
You're like, okay, I need some like big, hence why you got the Crater of Behemoth. You're ahead of the curve because that is the finisher. You know what I mean? This will actually win you a whole game if you bring this out with enough tokens on the board. So, okay, here we go. So, Joe, that's kind of the background for the people that are new. And here we are. And we want to add the Crater of Behemoth to your list. Now, you haven't played yet, but you're taking it on good authority from me that you need this Crater Hoof in. And if you're listening to this and you watch Magic, you know this is necessary in a Lathril deck. And why does the Crater Hoof work, Joe? Because it gives you haste. Well, no, sorry, it doesn't give you haste. It has haste. But when it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X until the end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. You have like 30 elf tokens on the board, and this comes out. Every one of those things gets +30, it has trample.
Yeah.
In a 4-person game, you have enough to deal with everybody. They just can't block enough. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so that's like a massive win condition for you. You know what I mean? There are some other win conditions we could build in this. Like one thing I'd want to see you budget for, Joe, is an Aetherflux Reservoir, a Sensei's Divining Top, and a Bolus's Citadel. A, it'll create an infinite combo, but B, it'll give you another win condition. That plays in line with your deck because Lathril can also give you life.
Yeah.
And you got
you don't want to pigeonhole, like, if I don't get the Crater Hoof on the table, I'm dead.
Well, what happens if I counter this? So we need a secondary win condition, and I would say in this deck, I would go with the life gain. Now, Aetherflux Reservoir, do me a favor, pull it up. Just because, like, I want to, you probably don't even know what this does. You got it?
Got it.
Okay, so let's
looking at it now.
Let's look at this for a second, Joe. Read me. I'm going to read you what Lathril does, right? When he deals combat damage to a player, you create that many 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. If you tap them or tap her, my bad, you tap 10 untapped elves you control. Each opponent loses 10 life and you gain 10 life. So there's a life gain aspect to this.
Yep.
Read me what the Aetherflux Reservoir does.
Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. If you pay 50 life, Aetherflux Reservoir deals 50 damage to target creature or player.
How many life do you start Commander with? Do you remember?
Is it
40?
I don't remember now. 40? Because it's 20
kill.
in standard, isn't it?
Yeah, instant kill.
Yeah.
Instant kill. Okay, now, do me a favor. Let's look down to Well-Wisher. What does the Well-Wisher do?
Do I already have that in here?
You do. You have one.
There it is. Well-Wisher. You gain 1 life for each elf in play.
When you tap it. So if you have 40 of these elf tokens on the board and you tap it, you get 40 life. Now you just nuke somebody with Aetherflux Res. Like, my point is, Joe, is, and this is where we're going with the upgrading, the Aetherflux Reservoir, it actually fits nicely into this deck.
It does, yeah.
Right? Because you do have a lot of life gain stuff in here. So let's look at what these 3 cards are. We got Aetherflux Reservoir, Sensei's Divining Top, and Bolus's Citadel. And this is my kind of like breakdown on how to upgrade. You know what I mean, Joe? Now, we did not talk about brackets yet. So we got to talk about that if we're going to upgrade in the sense of like all these cards. Do you know what I mean? But let's start about what the cards do. So we need like an alternate win condition for you. Craterhoof is one of them. You're going to do a bunch of damage to people. You've got the whole Lathril thing going on with, you know, causing people damage and you gaining damage. But I don't think that's a massive win condition. That's not instant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here is an instant win. So look at Aetherflux Reservoir. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. You pay 50 life, you do 50 damage to a target creature or player. Right. Sensei's Divining Top. If you pay 1 mana, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order, Joe. That card is great by itself because if you can manipulate your card draw, you're going to win faster. Like you could bump the Craterhoof Behemoth up on the list of when you're going to draw it. And sometimes, Joe, the game can be even at turn 9 and end on like turn 10. So this is super valuable by itself. Make sense?
Yeah.
This card, not so much. This card, you need some way to gain extra life. If you don't have any life gain in your deck, this card doesn't work.
Yep.
You have a bunch of life gain. Okay. Here's the Sensei's Divining Top best part. Draw a card, then put Sensei's Divining Top on top of its owner's library. And it only costs 1 mana. So now read Bolus's Citadel. This is something called the Game Changer, Joe.
Let me pull it up. How do you spell it?
Bolas.
There we go. Oops.
Apostrophe S. Citadel.
Bolus's Citadel.
You got it. I'm going to read this, okay?
Got it right here.
You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost. Then it has an ability, sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. Here's how this is going to work. So watch this. I'm going to show on my camera here. We're at a game, right?
Right.
I have Bolus's Citadel, and I have the Aetherflux Reservoir on the board. I cast the Sensei's Divining Top, Joe.
Okay.
For 1. Put it down on the board. Now, that's the first spell I cast that turn, so I get 1 life.
Yep.
If I take Sensei's Divining Top, if I tap it, it allows me to draw a card, then put Sensei's Divining Top back on top of my library. But because Bolus's Citadel says I can play lands and cast spells from the top of my library, I can now pay a life and cast this for free. It's now the second spell I cast this turn.
Right.
So I get 2 life in return. So I'm going to keep doing this and drawing cards, putting this on the top of my library. You see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And I put it back up. Now it's the third one and I get 3 life and it only costs me 1. This is infinite life gain. This combo. 3-card infinite life gain combo. But if I have infinite life, it means I can do infinite damage to you with the Aetherflux Reservoir. Instant win. You get these 3 on the board, you instantly win it. It's a pretty strong win condition.
Yeah.
Now, even without the Aetherflux Reservoir, these 2 cards by themselves are super powerful. This one is so powerful, Wizards called it a game changer, Joe.
Right.
So do me a favor on your iPad. Bring up Game Changers.
Okay.
Okay. You like that combo, by the way?
Yep.
Pretty good. And the best part of it is, even if you don't have those, you could probably use the Aetherflux Reservoir with Lathril and with Well-Wisher. Right? So the question is, do you want to spend your money to upgrade for only one combo or a combo that can work in other ways too? Right? or cards that are useful. There we go. You got brackets up, I see. But there's going to be a list of game changers, Joe. And game changers are cards that Wizards has deemed super powerful and can completely alter the state of a game.
Here's the list.
So there's a bunch of black ones and a bunch of green ones. You don't have white in this deck, so you're limited to black and green.
Yep.
These are generally regarded as some of the most powerful game-changing cards in Magic. Bolas's Citadel is one of those cards.
Yeah.
Super useful. And it might seem weird, Joe. Here's a theory I want you to wrap your head around. 40 life's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't even worry in a game of Commander until I go under 20.
Right.
Put it that way. So, like, using Bolas's Citadel by itself to draw cards for free into your hand by paying life. Think about what I can do to you.
Yeah.
Card draw is huge. So not only is there a great combo there, there's some really, really good cards. Now, what does a Bolas's Citadel go for?
Yeah. I mean, I've got it at $5.25.
$5.25? No way.
Yeah.
Dude, I will buy all of them right now. Let me see. That's actually insane if that's really the case.
TCG player.
I want to go order a bunch of them because I would have that in every black deck ever. That's like so cheap for a game changer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe I think mine is expensive because I have like oh no, dude, it is $5.25. Whoa.
But you didn't believe me?
No. Because that card is so good, Joe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can draw cards for life. Like I'm willing to trade life to get 4 cards ahead. Like I would put this in any black card. So to do that right now, that's an auto. You need to order that right now. For $5.25, right. That's a no-brainer. It's a game changer, and it's that cheap. Because that card is useful. Wish list. That card's useful without the Ether Flux Reservoir, like by itself.
Sure.
There's one thing
even
you have.
Ether Flux isn't terrible.
What's that cost?
If I look at the different printings, $13.97.
Not bad. Nope. Sensei's Divining Top will set you back though. But those 3 cards would dramatically improve your deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the bracket system, Joe, because we got to talk about this too. We talked about earlier, do you want to upgrade? Here's where you might not want to upgrade. Your play group. One of the reasons, Joe, the bracket system was invented was to try and pair people up so they can have a fun gaming experience.
Right. You want competitive decks. You don't want, I don't want to show up against a guy that just won the world championships and try to take my first time I ever built my rabbit deck and get blown out in the first round and be like, well, that was great. Glad I spent all that money.
Now, one of the things I wanted to do was I brought my Lathril deck today.
Okay.
Because we want to compare apples to apples. We're both playing with Lathril. We're both playing with a green and black deck. It's like exactly the same. Because I don't think you'd understand if I brought a different deck. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So my deck, Joe, your deck right now has 0 game changers.
Right.
I have 8. That's a problem for you. Like just based on that. You didn't know anything else. And I said, I had 8 game changer cards and you have 0. Who do you think's going to win more often than not?
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Okay. Number 2, you have only 4 tutors.
Yep.
Tutors we talked about being super powerful so I can go get cards I need. You know how many tutors I have? 8.
Okay.
And I have a couple of infinite win combos. You have 0. My deck is $2,300.
Yeah.
Not double sleeved. People hate me for this, by the way. You need those double sleeves. You're insane. I have the most powerful land in Magic ever created. Your deck
People do get crazy about that.
My one land is worth like 8 times more your deck. Like you can't beat me.
Yeah.
Now maybe you can if I got a terrible draw, but like it's not going to be fun for us to play 20 times and me win 19.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is like, if you want to fight me, you got to upgrade, Joe. If I'm your play group, you need to upgrade. Or I need to downgrade to get to your category, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about categories because I think that's important for people. So can you pull up the category graphic because it's going to display on your thing better?
All right.
Are you tracking, though, all the stuff I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm just on the Magic website here.
Yep. The
to see how they break these up. Game changers. Yeah, going back to the top. They got the 5 brackets.
Okay. Now, this is the beta version, Joe.
Yeah.
This isn't set in stone, but I want to talk about the brackets, okay?
Yep.
So yours is listed on Moxfield right now as a bracket 3 upgraded.
Yep.
Okay. So exhibition is bracket 1. There's no mass land denial. Now, Joe, mass land denial is a card that will kill all your land or prevent you from untapping. Because if I can nuke your land, you can't play.
Yeah.
People hate that, by the way. There's a card called Armageddon. It's a white card that wipes out everybody's lands. Okay. No 2-card infinite combos. No game changers at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you're allowed a few tutors. I don't really know what that means, to be honest with you. Everyone pretends to be an expert on this thing. I don't know, 2, 3, 4. I don't know what number you get put up to. So there's a bit of like an honesty code here too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Core. That's going to be your average pre-con, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
No mass land denial. No chaining extra turns, because if you get extra turns, you wreck people.
Yeah.
No 2-card infinite combos, no game changers, and a few tutors. Okay, fair enough. Very similar to version to bracket 1.
Yep.
The deck's probably put together a little bit better. You're allowed an extra turn card. You just can't chain them. You understand?
Yep.
3, this is upgraded. This is where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the strength of an average precon. So we made our deck better than your average precon.
Yep.
No
that
mass
was the goal,
land
right?
denial.
For the price.
Yep. $120. Great deal.
Mm-hmm.
No mass land denial. No chaining extra turns. You're allowed a couple of late game 2-card infinite combos. So what you're trying to do is not pull them out on turn 2 or turn 3.
Yeah.
And you're allowed 3 game changers.
Mm.
So let's say you're a 3 upgraded right now, which you are. You're a bracket 3.
Yep.
And your play group is me, JP, who you guys don't know. He's a friend of ours that Joe does game night with because you do D&D game nights every Friday.
Mm.
Maybe Ethan, like your crew. And everyone's like, we're going to only play a bracket 3. But you want to be competitive, Joe? You're allowed to enter 3 more game changers into that deck because you don't have any right now before you're forced to Park 4.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
You can't have any mass land denial. So you can't have one of these cards that wipes out everybody's land. So it's giving you basically a framework of how you can upgrade. And if you don't know what your deck is, you can look, how many game changers do I have? Do I have 1? Do I have 2? Do I have 3? 4, there's no restrictions other than the banned list. 5, there's no restrictions other than the banned list. But I do want to tell you, Joe, there is a wide range in 4.
Sure.
My 4 is a pretty high 4 because I have 8 game changers.
Sure.
But if I could bump that up to 12, it would still be a 4 and it's still way better. I want you to ignore CEDH. That's a whole different format. You're trying to crush somebody on turn 2 or turn 3, Joe.
Sure.
You need a lot of money to play CEDH. There's cards
you need the
that are
good
like
cards for that.
serious, right? Like, do me a favor, look up a Mox Diamond.
All right.
That would improve your deck a lot.
Oh, geez, yeah, $600.
That's an essential in CEDH.
Yeah.
Look up a Lion's Eye Diamond.
$422.
That's an essential in CEDH. In fact, you need both of them. Look up a Grim Monolith. I have a bunch of Grim Monoliths, but look it up.
311.93.
Yeah, dude, like I have 8 game changers right now. I could probably go up if I robbed my other decks. I could like make this really serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then what you're trying to do, Joe, is you're trying to win on turn 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, these are all 0 drop. They don't cost mana, if you notice that.
Yeah.
Grim Monolith does. It costs 2. But like, Joe, you'll see people do a forest into a Soul Ring, into a Mox Diamond, into a Lion's Eye Diamond, into a Grim Monolith. And it's just like, yeah, I'm bringing out all this stuff turn 1. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's why the Black Lotus is so powerful. Anyway, Joe, long story short, 4 becomes a whole different thing to me in 5. 5's a different sport. Ignore that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you try to compete with me at a 4, it's going to take a lot of investment because you get the bare minimum. You get 4 game changers. I still have 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have room to grow. You see what I'm saying? So like, if you want to get to a 4, you got to invest, but you have to invest a lot depending on what 4 that I have. One of my complaints about the bracket system is I think we need like a 3.5.
Sure.
Because I feel like we need, or like a low 4 and high 4.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to my kids about this, and he's like, Jax came to me with this. He's like, Dad, is this like a good 4 or not a good 4? Because we have 2 decks that are in the 4 range.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of decks that are in the 4 range actually, but there's 2 in particular. So we had a rogue deck and an elf deck that were both counted as a 4. The elves were running the rogues over. Like it wasn't even close. He's like, he likes the rogues. He's like, my deck sucks. It's a low 4. And I started laughing, but I'm like, that's so good for a podcast.
Yeah.
So we got something called the Fastest Oracle. We got a Demonic Consultation. We got a Tainted Pact. We got an Imperial Seal. We got a Vampire. Now he's like, I consider it a high 4.
Right. Yeah.
But it took a lot of investment. You tracking what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got to decide if you want to invest and you want to go up.
Well, I think there comes a point where there's a difference between playing to play and playing to win, right? Like that's, and it's the same with sports too. You know, at a certain point, you're not just playing soccer anymore. At a certain point, you're trying to win the Olympics or whatever. Like,
but yes and no,
there comes a time where you got to flip the switch.
Yes and no, because if I'm going to be your play buddy in your play group, you need to upgrade or I need to downgrade. It's not just about winning. It's about making the game more fun.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun to play a game of of the 2 bracket where it lasts an hour and it's like fun and strategy. I also think it's fun in that same hour time frame to play 10 games that end all on turn 3.
Yeah.
We just have to be equal. You see what I mean? So my upgrade philosophy is this, Joe. We're going to consider budget, how much you're willing to spend, and what's the biggest bang for your buck. Right. Like looking at those 3 cards that we looked at, the Aetherflux Reservoir, Sensei's Dividing Top, and the Bolas's Citadel. In a perfect world, I'm like, Joe, just go buy all 3.
Right, yeah.
You'll still be a category 3. Your deck's going to be way better. It's like an infinite combo, and you get a game changer. I'm like, go buy all 3. But if you're on a budget, knowing what you know, which one would you buy first?
Oh, geez.
It's actually easier than you think. Which one's a game changer?
Now I don't remember looking at them.
Bullets at Citadel. That's the game changer.
Yes.
And it's probably
the one that I had up
beyond just that combo, and it's only $5. So why wouldn't you buy it? Like I would purchase that today for $5.
Yeah, I will do that.
Now the Aetherflux Reservoir was what, 12?
Yeah, 13.
So that would be the second one I would buy, A, because it's cheaper, but B, it also works with Lathril and the Well-Wisher. You're not just buying a card that doesn't work. Sensei's Dividing Top would be the third one I would buy.
Yeah, that's $23.
Yeah, here's the other thing, Joe. Let's say you went and bought 4 game changers and all these game changers. I think Bolas's Citadel is the cheapest game changer.
Yep.
But like, you could also argue that you can buy an Aetherflux Reservoir and Sensei's Dividing Top and stay in your bracket.
Yeah.
So there's ways, like a Craterhoof Behemoth isn't a game changer, but in your deck, it's an absolute game changer.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay bracket 3, and say you bought a thing called a Vampiric Tutor, Joe, which is a game changer, and that was going to push you into 4, I would buy a Craterhoof Behemoth to stay in 3, but still be more powerful. So you can kind of like game the system. So there's a little bit of like honesty in this, or like a honor rule, because like game changers are cards that just affect the game in any deck kind of deal. But like, I'm going to pull up this list right now. Game changers MTG, because I just want to give you an example. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Joe, we've got our brackets. Like, you're allowed 3 game changers. So in black, we got a Bolas' Citadel, we got a Demonic Tutor, an Imperial Seal, an Opposition Agent, a Tergrid God of Fright, a Vampiric Tutor, and an Ad Nauseam. An Imperial Seal will run you $80.
Right.
I would make the argument that a Craterhoof Behemoth, a Sensei's Divining Top, the Bolas' Citadel, which is 1 game changer, and what was the other card for that combo? Aetherflux Reservoir, Sensei's Divining Top, Bolas' Citadel, and Craterhoof. Those 4 cards you can get for cheaper than 1 game changer and will make your deck way better than the Imperial Seal. So like, are you trying to stay in number 3? Because like, that's the best way to do it for budget. It's not always just the most expensive card. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. And I see there's a whole nother layer to that too, because there is the social aspect of the gaming as well.
Yep.
Because you don't want to be the one guy who's like, we've all agreed to be, bracket 3, but you're really like a bracket 3.99.
Yeah, you are like an ultra optimized 3.
Yeah.
You want to make
you want to play, right?
That's been the biggest complaint about people in the community, and that's why Wizards just try to do this bracket system, because they're like, hey, like, it's ruining people's play experience. And I don't get my feelings hurt by this. A lot of people do.
Well, sometimes that can be fun, but again, that's the social aspect of it.
Yes.
So
it's like
what's the they always say it's kind of the social contract at the table. Are we all just playing to have fun? Because sometimes it's fun to throw a card in a deck and kind of surprise your buddies with it. That's just that 1 game you're going to be playing all night and having fun. Yeah. Like, cool. But sometimes like that does hurt people's feelings, and you don't trust them after that.
Do me a favor. Just like an example. Oh, we did it. Remember we looked up the Mox Diamond?
Yeah.
$500 for 1 card. What's the percentage you see that in a deck? So if there's 100 cards and you draw 7, let's say you have 10 turns, so you draw 17 cards. There's only a 17% chance you're going to even see that card in a game.
Yeah.
For the cost of the Mox Diamond, Joe, you could buy a Bolas' Citadel, a Demonic Tutor, an Imperial Seal, an Opposition Agent, a Turgid God of Fright, a Vampiric Tutor, and Ad Nauseam of Survival of the Fittest of Vorinclex. You could have 9 game changers versus that 1 game changer for less of a cost.
Yep.
That's like, so you got to consider budget. That's a real thing, Joe. The Tabernacle at Pendra Vale is like a $3,000 card. You could go buy all the game changers for that. You know what I mean? So now you're balancing. And then is there a card like the Craterhoof that's not a game changer, but is a game changer in your deck? Yeah. So like, don't get hung up as you upgrade on, I have to go get game changers. You just have to know, if you go over 3 game changers, you're going into bracket 4.
Right.
And if your play group are the people, when you go to the store for Friday Night Magic, you're like, what deck are you? And you're like, I'm a 4, but actually I have 4 game changers, so I'm forced to be a 4, but my deck is trash, so it actually plays like a 2.
Yeah.
Because that can happen, Joe. You know what I mean? Or the other thing you mentioned, you have a 3, but it's actually a 3.9999, and now you're running people over. So I kind of go by an idea of, actually, I'm not going to lie. I try to make my decks as horsepower as I can. I'm trying to make everything like a high 4. I don't do CEDH because I don't do the optimized thing, but I'm trying to make everything a high 4 across the board. I don't care. Just pump it full of whatever. If you want to play a non-competitive game, I'll buy a pre-con.
Right, yeah.
That's me. In fact, one of my buddies, David, convinced me to build a bracket 3 the other day, and it literally was causing me so much cognitive dissonance to have to lower myself. I felt like Voldemort being like, the Dark Lord does not build these. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you and I have to do an elf deck, I can't play you with this elf deck.
Right. Yeah.
I'll roll you every time. And that's not going to be fun, right? Like, it's just going to be, we need to figure out I'll build the bracket 3 to play you, or you're going to come up to a 4. But even if you come up to a 4, you got to go way up to a 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where the brackets, I hope they come up with this is the beta, Joe.
Yep.
And I hope, and I trust that they will, because Gavin Verhey's kind of spearheading this, incredible human being. They're really, I think they really want to take care of the game, and they have the love of the game in mind. But like, this is where we have to meet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
By the way, I also play with the legal card. It's called Rule 0, which they're illegal or banned for a reason. They're really good. So I got some of those too. So that's where we are on your brackets and your upgrading, Joe. But I want to talk about upgrading your deck now that we have all that settled, right? So here's where it gets hard. We got to decide who to cut from what friends are we going to cut?
Yeah. So I've added the Crater Hoof, and I've got to get my Worldly Tutor in there.
Okay. So put that in. And you'll be at what, 102 cards?
Yeah.
What did you take out for the Crater Hoof?
I haven't taken anything out yet.
Oh, it's because I was looking on my box field.
Yeah, I can't.
All right. Okay. Now, people like to do this, Joe, where you overbuild the deck and then you decide what to cut back.
You know, that's great if you've just got tons of cool cards.
Yeah.
And you just want to throw them all together and then try to whittle away into something.
I try to do what we did episode 1 and build up to 100. I find that easier, but it just depends on like who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things we're paying attention to is the total mana value of your deck. We talked about that episode 1 and 2. I like mine under 200 because they move really fast. By the way, that's a sneaky way to make a better bracket 3. If you're bracket 3, if the total mana value is 250, Joe, and mine's 180, I will get you most of the time.
Yeah.
And if you're just watching this, because I don't want to be that gatekeeping person, mana value is all of these symbols on the cards added together. And basically it means, Joe, if I have a lower mana value, my casting costs are less. I'm going to get stuff out quicker. Some people call it mana curve. I go by mana value. I like mana value as a number to be under 200 because it means I'm like rarely having an issue casting my cards. That's also, Joe, why I play with less lands. Like you'll hear people say, 38 lands. I play with 35 because the mana values of my deck are lower, so I'm less likely to miss a turn playing cards.
Yeah.
One of the hacks I use is if I can't get my mana value under 200, then I have to have more lands. See what I mean? You think that was enough for the layperson? Like, because I really want to make sure we're clear on this, right?
Yeah.
So Crater Hoof Behemoth has a massive casting cost.
Yeah.
So you're going to jump right up, right? Like that's a casting cost of 8. If you had 60 cards of 8 in your deck, it's a mana value of like 460. You ain't playing competitively against anybody. You know what I mean? When they talk about mana curve, Joe, you want a lot of 1 and 2 drops. You can have a couple of 3 drops. A couple of 4s and 5s, but you only really want 1 or 2 8s. And that gets hard when you got to cut cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's where we're at, right?
So given that, when we talked about episode 1, what was our budget Crater Hoof? It was Kamal, the Fist of Kroza.
Yep.
And it's a casting cost of 6. So if we're going to put an 8 in, I want to get rid of something that's like an 8 or a 7 or a 6. They also kind of do the same thing, but Crater Hoof Joe does it a lot better.
Yeah.
So I would get rid of Kamal, Fist of Kroza.
That's a good choice.
What you don't want to do is get rid of like one of your mana ramps or your well-wishers.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, what does this card do? Now, there's also nothing wrong with redundancy. Like,
True.
You could have a couple of win condition cards that fall in the same win condition. I just think for the casting cost to Kamal, Fist of Kroza.
That's exactly it. You're minimizing the total increase in mana value and getting a better option for that price.
You got it. So we're upgrading, and look at the difference. This is why Crater Hoof's $28.72 and Kamal, Fist of Kroza is 53 cents. I'm replacing a category. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Now, for the Worldly Tutor. Here's the beauty of the Worldly Tutor, too. Even though you took out Kamal, the Worldly Tutor allows you to go find the Crater of Behemoth.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you have 2 chances to get it. You know what I mean? Now, the question is, what do we want to take out for that? And this is hard because, like, do we take out an instant? Do we take out a sorcery? That's kind of where it belongs. You have 30 creatures. I think that might be too many creatures. Do you have enough removal? Like, I don't want to get rid of a removal because I don't think you have enough. And removal, by the way, if you're just new to this, is like something that can kill one of Joe's creatures or something that can counter a spell, right? Like, so his question is, like, what do we put in here? You know what I mean, Joe?
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes I go by value because I want to collect. You know what I mean? But what are we doing here? If you watch you guys on Command Caster, like, you need 6 to 12 removals for deck, and we don't have that. And by the way, Joe, you're dealing with people's personal biases too.
Yeah.
Like Josh from Command Cast loves his removal, right?
Yeah.
Rachel loves her lands. Jimmy loves, like, playing with less lands, but likes more creature. Okay, I don't know, man. This is hard. But I would say, if you're looking from competitiveness, what you're really trying to do is flood the deck with tokens.
Yep.
To make Lathril work. So you don't want to get rid of your cards that are generating tokens. That's going to take like 15 off the board that are untouchable.
Yep.
For example, where is it? The Imperious Perfect. Create a 1/1 green elf creature token. Do not take that out because you need the tokens. Make sense?
Yes.
And it's an elf anthem. So I would not take those type creatures out. The other thing is, I like cards that untap your creatures, like the Seedborn Muse. Because you want Lathril untapped. You want your Elves untapped so you can activate Lathril.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But here's a card that I think you could get rid of. The Seeker of Skybreak. It's a 62-cent card. And you untap 1 target creature.
So yeah, so not crazy powerful.
Lathril, for him to work, you need 10 untapped elves.
Yep.
So you tap 10 elves, you do the 10 damage, you get the 10 life. You can only untap 1 target creature. Like, that card does nothing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Seedborn Muse untaps everything. Way better card. Make sense?
Yep.
Now let's look at another one. Look on your Mox field, the card below Seeker of Skybreak.
The Shaman of the Pack.
You might look at it and be like, this card's only 38 cents. Seeker of the Skybreak is better. Not so, Joe. It's not always about price. Shaman of the Pack. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to the number of elves you control. Mega powerful in this deck. I would get rid of the Seeker of the Skybreak. You have 29. You're going to have 29 creatures. I think that's more than enough.
Yeah.
Oh, equally, you could get rid of the wire. Actually, I was wrong. Get rid of the Wirewood Symbiote.
To 8 cents, return an elf you control to its owner's hand. Untap target creature. Activate only once each turn.
Yeah, because I don't want to return an elf to your hand.
Yeah. Especially, the other one. At least you get to untap 1.
Those cards do the same thing, but you don't have to return an elf to the hand.
Yeah.
Get rid of the Wirewood Symbiote. What am I talking about? That's easy. Now, if I could do the Wirewood Symbiote unlimited, I might do that.
Right.
But yeah, I would get rid of Wirewood Symbiote.
All right. We're going to make that happen.
I think that's
fit my other 2 in.
I think that's an easier play. You know what I mean, Joe?
Well, and I feel good switching out a $15 card for an 8-cent card.
Yeah.
And the Wirewood Symbiote and the Worldly Tutor have the same casting cost, so it doesn't shift the mana value at all.
Great. So there we go. That's pretty good, dude. And now you have 5 tutors. So I'm gonna see. Did you put these in yet?
Yep, they are in.
Uh-oh.
So should just need to refresh.
Yep, you got 5 tutors. You're still in a bracket 3.
Yep.
Yes, but the deck's a lot better with those 2 additions. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because 2 additions is better than 1.
Yep.
3 is better than 2. 1 won't make your whole deck. Because there's games I play where I never see a certain card.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, where else can we upgrade on the cheap? I'd recommend a Bolus's Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
Look up an ad nauseum.
Yeah, you mentioned this one a few times.
It's a really good card, too. How much is that?
Another $13.39.
So that's a great purchase for $13, and now you got 2 game changers.
Yeah, reveal the top card of your library, put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its converted mana cost. You may repeat this process any number of times.
It can suck through your whole deck.
Yeah.
It's really powerful. Very similar, though, to a Bolus's Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
So then the question is, maybe you'd be better to invest in a tutor, but the tutor game changers are expensive.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we... And I would argue, see, here's where it gets this weird gray area. If you put a Bolus's Citadel in, you're 2 cards away from that amazing combo.
Yeah.
The Aetherflux Reservoir is the same price as Ad Nauseum, but it also works with your other cards like the Well-Wisher and Lathril.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, you might be tempted, I want that Ad Nauseum game changer, but I would actually buy the Aetherflux Reservoir and then save up for a Sensei's Divine on top. Or just buy them all. But this is where it gets hard. So
Quit pussyfooting around and just go.
I've actually monetized this, Joe. I've gamified this. So here's how I upgrade. I do this for collecting, right?
Right.
So I think, what's my budget on cards to spend? And what are the best cards that I can get to upgrade this deck? I also think, if I'm going to switch cards from a deck, which one is the most useful in other decks?
Mm-hmm.
And in Aetherflux Reservoir, I've got like 8 decks I can use that in. So that's a good purchase to me.
Yeah.
If I got to spend $50 on one card for a single deck that's only useful in that deck, I don't do it.
Yeah, that
Or
makes sense.
maybe-
I mean, if you end up like, collecting a bunch of decks, and like maybe I end up sort of retiring my elf deck, I don't want to have spent a bunch of money to get a bunch of cards that I'm never going to use anywhere else.
So
You can always go back and like cannibalize good cards out of your decks that you're not playing.
Perfect example of this to wrap this episode up, Deck, or Joe. Look at this card right here. Raphelos Llanowar Emissary. Look that up. By the way, it's banned, but I have one. Because I am the Dark Lord of Magic the Gathering. Just so you know, Joe.
Spell that one for me.
Roffellos. It won't even pop up. You gotta change the settings. So don't look at that.
Oh, that's
Look
not
up
the right
this
one.
one. Look up this one.
Yeah,
Ella Damri. Eladamri, comma, Lord of Leaves.
Say it again. Ella what?
Ella Damri. Eladamri.
Here we go. Ella Damri, Lord of Leaves. All elves gain a forest walk. If defending player controls any forest, those creatures are unblockable. Elves cannot be the target of spells or abilities.
This is a badass elf card.
Yeah.
This is, like in your language, this is Lord Elrond on steroids. This, Joe, how much is this card going to run you?
Here.
I'll tell you, $62.29.
Wow.
But this is not useful in JoJo's Rabbit deck.
Right.
It only works with elves. Not useful in my non-elf deck. This is only useful in elves deck, and you're going to pay $62, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to buy this, you got to really like your elf deck. I'm a guy that, I'm a different case because I have a ton of decks. You can see all 53 of them on Moxfield, by the way. But in show notes. But dude, like 60, it's really hard for me to justify spending $62 on this card even though I did. I actually owned it from years ago. But like, does that make sense what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's only good in your elf deck. Whereas, I'm going to look up on TCG for you. Okay. Let's look up. An ad nauseum, Joe, for $13 is good in every deck. Here's another one. Vampiric Tutor.
Yeah. You've mentioned that one multiple times.
Okay. So here's the deal. The market price on a Vampiric Tutor, a certain version of it here, is $47.
Yeah.
I would rather buy the Vampiric for $47, which you can use in any black deck ever. Like, that's an auto include in any black deck, Joe.
Sure.
So I'd rather buy the Vampiric. Or a Demonic Tutor. Let's see what that costs. Oh, $43.45, Joe. I would much rather buy that than buy this if I was you. Unless you have decided that elves are your thing and this is your one deck. So I kind of go by budgeting and utility. I also know that if I have to offload it, I can offload a Demonic Tutor easier than I can offload an El Damri. I got to find it out there for this. The other one works in any black deck ever.
Yep.
So that's how I kind of upgrade. I go in the store. I say, I got $50 to spend. What's the most I can make of my $50?
Mm-hmm.
And is it cool for me to have the $50 card, or is it cool for me to have 10 $5 cards?
Right, yeah.
Because I think in some respects, Joe, 10 $5 cards. Here's the deal. 10 $5 cards will improve your deck a lot more than one $50 card.
Sure.
But a $50 card is a way better card, holds its value better, and is useful in multiple decks more than those 10 $5 cards.
Gotcha.
Here's another one. You have a Leaf Crown Visionary in your deck?
I don't think so. No.
Look that up. Okay. Because here's the other deal. Remember how we learned that like Ad Nauseam and Bolas' Citadel kind of do the same thing?
Yeah.
I would rather have a Bolas Citadel, Leaf Crown Visionary than just an Ad Nauseam.
So other elves you control get a +1/+1. Whenever you cast an elf spell, you may pay 1 forest. If you do, draw a card.
And drawing cards is huge.
Yeah.
So for $10, that's better than the 13 for Ad Nauseam. So I kind of go by budget and like, what am I trying to do with this deck?
Right.
Am I trying to collect? Am I trying to go up a bracket? Am I trying to ruin my friend's day by making it a 3.99, as you called it, instead of a base 3? Or do I really want that expensive card because I plan on building other decks and I want the versatility? That's how I go about upgrading, Joe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now it's
honestly,
like, okay,
with so many options and like so much information out there, anything you can do to just kind of cut through the noise and narrow in on a smaller selection, I think is very, very valuable.
Do you have a Marwyn the Nurturer? Did we suggest that?
I think so. Oh. Yes.
We did. Another great card for $3.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm looking at my list right now. Like if I was to set you a budget, like some really good ones you can include are Bolas' Citadel, because I'm surprised it's that cheap. A Leaf Crowned Visionary, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a Priest of Titania?
Let me look. Yes.
Okay. Do you have a... Oh, do you have just an Eladamri Horvek Dal? So Eladamri, and then it's a comma, and then KOR.
No.
That's a great one for $5. Oh, do you have a Deathrite Shaman?
No.
No, get a Deathrite. Never mind Eladamri. Deathrite's important in any... You need that in every black-green deck ever, Joe.
All right.
That's a hard thing to understand about why I'm telling you a $4 card is like the card for every... It's honestly worth less because it's been printed so much.
Sure.
Whereas Imperial Seals are harder to find.
So here, I'll read the death right for the other noobs out there. So it's 1 swamp, 1 forest to cast. Exile target land from graveyard, add 1 mana of any color. You can exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. Each opponent loses 2 life. Or you can exile target creature from a graveyard. You gain 2 life.
Fits into your life gain theme.
Yeah.
2, it can help you help other opponents lose life. Right? And by the way, it says each opponent, not a target opponent. Each opponent, everyone at the table. And you can get mana. And it's got something called graveyard hate because people fish stuff out of their graveyard.
Yep.
Dude, that's like a must. There's actually a series I'm gonna do, here are 3 blue cards you need in every blue deck.
Yeah.
If I was to make a black-green one, this is on it.
Yeah.
Massive upgrade. So I would go Bolas's Citadel. I would go the Leaf Crown Visionary. We'll go the Deathrite Shaman. And by the way, Joe, a Deathrite Shaman goes in all my non-elf decks too. So versatile. If I was picking between Leaf Crown Visionary and Deathrite, I'd pick Deathrite. Because it's useful in other decks. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I would also go with an Abrupt Decay, Joe. It's a removal spell. It's another one of those cards you need in every black and green deck ever.
Okay.
You have it added?
Yes.
Okay. How
The
about
spell
Jim?
can't be countered. Destroy target non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less.
And there's a lot of cards with mana value 3 or less, buddy.
Yep.
Okay, add an Elvish Promenade.
Already got that one.
You do?
Yep. Create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token for each elf you control.
Okay, great. So that's a good one. So I'm looking at your list. For some reason, it says 101 cards. I don't know why.
Yeah, as I just added Abrupt Decay to that, but I'm just removing it now because it's on the wish list.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see where it says Elvish Promenade for you.
It's in there. I was literally just looking at it.
I see Galadrim Ambush.
Let's see.
Why I don't see it?
It is the first one under sorceries.
Oh, I see it now. Got it. Okay. You got a $9 version. I have a $3 version. I'm jealous. Okay. So I'm trying to think what else we could look at here. Culling Ritual. That should be pretty cheap. I actually don't have one in my deck. I have to order one, but I want to include it in my deck. That's how good that card is. In Commander, Joe.
Mm-hmm. Culling Ritual. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Add swamp or forest for each permanent destroyed this way.
Such a good card.
Wow.
You get a jam, that's a great removal. And it's pretty cheap, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's
if you
60 cents.
If you got those 5 cards, dude, that would upgrade your deck massively. Probably more than just an Etherflux Reservoir.
Right.
Like, so now what can you order this for? But like, I would say, what are the value of the cards we're looking at so far? Bolas's was 5. Leaf Crown Visionary, we'll call it 5. We're at 10. Abrupt Decay is 2. You're at 12. What else did I recommend to you? Deathrite Shaman is 5. We're at 17. Culling Ritual was 60 cents, so we'll call it 17 still.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to buy those and an Etherflux Reservoir, that puts you at 30, and a Sensei's Divining Top for $55 from Card Kingdom or TCG. You could get free shipping, and your deck would be, it would be like a 3.2 to a 3.9.
Right.
You want to invest $55? That's the question. Like, that's the game. But you see how we got a ton of cards for the ones we put together for 17. those 5 will do way more damage in your deck than the Sensei's Dividing Top, which is the big one.
Well, and I'll say additionally, like now I'm more aware of what cards are out there. Like I've been exposed to more cards. I've improved my deck a little bit, and the cards that I took out of the deck that I already had, knowing what those cards are and what they can do, they might go in a different deck that I build. It's like now it's something I have that I don't have to buy somewhere else.
You can build 2 elf decks. Like I have to build 2 to be able to play with you.
Right.
So I have a huge elf deck, then I'm going to build one that's like a budget elf deck for you. Although I tried to build budget goblins, it was still like $500. I'm like, oh, wait, this is not. I can only build high 4s. Like I have all the cards. But final thing, Joe, before we wrap up, because we're just over an hour now. Final thing. Just look at other people's decks on Moxfield or Architect or whatever you use, and you can learn. And by the way, here's a clue. Like you're a critical thinker. You're a smart guy. Go look at my deck. It's $2,300. Yeah. Right? And you see the guy's cradle, you're like $809. Screw this guy. I'm not buying this card. You look at Cavern of Souls, 44. That's pretty expensive. I can't afford it. Ancient Tomb, Gamebreaker, 103. Can't afford it. But if you look at my list, Joe, look at Dark Ritual. It's $179. Just logic this out for me. Your friend Bobby has an unlimited budget to spend on cards, apparently. He's got the elf deck of all elf decks. If I put a $1.79 card in a deck, you think I put it in for the good of my health or because it's actually really effing good?
Yeah, right?
Does that make sense? Like just use your head. Or Pact of the Serpent's 59 cents. You're like, if Bobby's putting that in there, it's probably for a reason.
Yeah.
He's built a Lathril deck too. Elvish Archdruid, 44 cents. Bobby's putting that in there, it's probably for a reason. Elvish Warmaster, 88 cents. Probably for a reason. Like this dude has no problem dropping 800. Now, it didn't work out like this. I didn't just buy a Gaia's Cradle. Like I've had it for years, Joe.
Yeah.
But if you're like, wow, he's got an $800 Gaia's Cradle and a 40-cent Lissalana Huntsmaster, like, dude, guy just goes buys whatever he wants. If he put this in there, there must be a reason. You could just build the deck based off that.
Yeah.
Like it's logical. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Same thing with like Joe, like I got a Fauna Shaman for $2.72. You're like, yeah, Bobby has that in his deck. It's probably, there's a reason he's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I look at. I look at other people's decks. I'm like, okay, Joe, there's people with like $400 decks online.
Yeah.
There's people with $14,000 decks.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
I'm
going to look like what are they doing? Like, what are they playing? You know, so are they trying to be a level 2 $4,000 deck? Like, probably not.
Here's how I look. CEDH, because that's the big one. You know what I mean? So I'm going to look up a CEDH Anawan the Rune Thief deck. You don't even know who he is, but we're looking it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's a deck on Moxfield, and this thing is worth $2,700.
Yeah.
I'm going to go here. I'm going to look at this. I'm like, okay. We have a Gilded Drake, $212. You don't know what that is, but don't worry about it, Joe. We have a Mox Diamond, $590. Mm-hmm. Like, of course they have a Mox Diamond. We have a Chrome Box, $96. We have Imperial Seal, $201. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm like, why is this dude got a Slither Blade in here? This card's 25 cents. This guy's got like a budget of $3,000 for his deck. What does this?
Yeah, it ain't about the money at that point. If there was a better card he could get for 3 cents more expensive, he would have done it, right?
Yeah, if this guy spent $2,700 on a deck, he's not sweating another $30. I'm looking at like, oh, here's one for 24 cents.
Yeah.
Why this dude got this in here?
Like, just add it to the wish list. We'll figure the rest out later.
You can start to like look at clues and be like, hey, let me see what this does.
Yeah.
Okay. And to wrap this up, Joe, do you know why he has a Slither Blade in?
No.
Because the way Anawan works, you want all your rogues. He's a rogue commander. You want all your rogues to do damage.
Mm-hmm.
The Slither Blade is straight up unblockable.
Wow. Okay.
So, and it's a rogue. So,
Yeah.
hey, there's a clue. So, like, look at somebody else's deck. Why do they got this card in here? And I look at the expensive decks for this reason, because then the cheap cards are putting in the expensive deck. They're for a reason. If you look at someone's, we call them jank decks, like little, I don't know, they're little popper $40 deck. You can't do this. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Look at, like, let me see. Lathril CEDH deck. I don't even know if Lathril is CEDH worthy. Here we go. Turbo Lathril. You ready for this, Joe?
Yep.
$3,900.
Wow.
Oh my God. My elf deck is now trash. but they spent $3,900, Joe. Oh my God. Okay. So now I'm looking at ideas for my deck. You know what I'm saying? Oh, why did you put a Quirion Elves in there? 17 cents. Why did you put the Quirion Ranger in there? 68 cents. Why did you put a Scrib Ranger? That was only 48 cents. Why? Like I'm like locked in. I'm done with you in this podcast, Joe. Now I'm like, why did they put this in here? And how does this work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Thorn of Amethyst. What? Oh, it's a bunch of stuff to make their casting.
I think the moral of the story is you can spend a lot of time looking at other people's decks.
But I'm starting to get some ideas now because I'm like, oh,
yeah,
here we go. Right? Like, this is a way to mana ramp. Okay, I'm learning stuff now. Great. So this is kind of the way you want to look at. Now, not all cards will fit because they're playing a certain strategy, but they're using the same commander as me, Joe. So you could start to do some research and be like, what could help me here?
Yeah.
Just look at it and then read the card and feel like, because by the way, there's commanders you can build different strategies with. So that doesn't always work.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But something to consider. So Joe, there's your upgrade guide. I look forward to seeing your upgrades. We did some game changers. We talked some brackets. And yeah, now you are not the dummy. Now you are a Magic Pro and we are ready to play.
Moving on.
We are done. Oh, dude, do you have your packs handy?
My what? Oh, yeah.
Pack.
Oh, geez. Yeah, we got some packs to open here.
Okay, I just want to do the Lord of the Rings ones.
All right. So I got two.
And then
I
we're
got
out of
two
here.
of the Lord of the Rings ones.
Got a bonus. Okay, we want the one ring. That is an auto include in your elf deck. You get the one ring,
right.
I will scream.
Yeah, what are the odds? I don't think they're very good, but we shall see. Let's see what I got. All right, here we go. Got the Spirit, Lost Isle Calling.
Okay, just climb and trash. Get to the good stuff. Get to the
Flame
gold.
of Honor, Sam Loyal Attendant.
Whoa, back up.
What?
Flame of Anor, Joe, that's like a $7 card. It's really good.
All right. Well, that's
Maybe
good to know.
$6. That is awesome for an otter deck.
Okay, I'll keep that handy because I want to build an otter deck.
That's a good one. That's a good pull.
All right, I got Elrond, Lord of Riverdale, Shadow Summoning, Theoden,
Okay.
Mouth of Sauron, Reprieve, Inherited Envelope, Bombadil Song, Slip on the Ring, Forest. That's kind of a cool one.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Flame of Anor, that was the big one.
All right, let's try pack number 2.
Wait 1 second. I'm looking it up on TCG because you got like the normal version of it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because you did not get collector's packs.
No, these are just boosters.
Dude, $3.84.
All right.
And it's useful. It's a really, really good instant. That goes in a lot of my decks. So that was a decent pull.
All right. Now we'll look at the other pack I got.
All right.
I got a Mass Polymorph.
Okay.
Escape from Orthanc.
Okay.
Born Upon a Wind.
Okay.
Knights of Dol Amroth.
All right. Okay.
Ugluck of the White Hand.
Okay.
Gorbag of Minas Morgul.
Okay.
Saruman's Trickery. The Grey Havens.
Oh, that's a good one.
This one is Legendary
Yeah,
Land.
I mean, it's not the best land in the world, but read it.
So when the Grey Havens enters the battlefield, scry 1, tap to add 1, and tap to add 1 mana of any color among legendary creature cards in your graveyard.
Not a bad little land.
Yeah. I've got Glorfindel, Dauntless Rescuer,
Okay.
Lothlorien Lookout,
Yeah.
Galadrim Guide, a Galadrim Bow, and a Mountain Land.
Nothing great, but
No
not terrible.
One Rings, unfortunately.
If you would have got it, you would have heard a grown man scream, Joe.
I mean, I was hoping.
All right. Listen, Joe, I hope you enjoy your Commander journey as much as I do.
Dude, I'm having fun with this. I'm spending way too much time on Moxfield, like going through and tweaking and reading about stuff and looking at other people's decks. It's kind of fun.
Very good. Listen, for those of you that made it to the end of this thing, 'cause it's long, but hopefully it was useful, give us topics in the comments. We will talk about them. What do you want to learn about from this perspective? Like, what do you want us to simplify the game? Do you want us to talk about mana value, mana dorks, removal spells? You want us to talk about competing? You want us to talk about collecting? I was a collector first. Any things you want us to discuss, put them in the show, not in the show notes, in the comments, and we will, because we're going to make this a regular thing.
Yeah.
So we will be talking about stuff a lot. If there's any guests you want in the show, put them in the comments, boost the engagement, subscribe, like, all those things. And thanks for spending a bit of time learning about a passion that I love and helping our young hero, our young, noble hero squire, knight in development, Joe Sabula, learn about Commander. Oh, and who knows, we might even play a game. Maybe what we should do, Joe, is play Turbo Elves, Bobby's Turbo Elves versus Joe's deck and see what happens. So you can demonstrate the difference.
Yeah.
That would actually be a good idea, because then in real time you'll learn, like, oh, that's why that card does that.
Yeah. I'm down for it. We'll make it happen.
All right. I am down. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming for another episode.